Thank you, Kate. According to Shumway Cook, motor control is defined as the ability to regulate the mechanism essential to movement. It looks into things like how the central nervous system organizes the many different muscles and joints into a coordinated functional movement. How does our movement, behavior, the tasks that we execute, and the environment work together and influence us to move? So the main purpose of motor control is to develop a formal explanation of the physical and physiological processes that enable such motion using precisely defined variables. It also aids in building a framework for interpreting behavior, clinical action guide, new discovery of ideas, and working hypotheses for examination and intervention. The theories of motor control, according to Cano de la Cuerda et al. Of 2015, are 8. Reflex theory, hierarchy theory, motor programming theory, system theory, dynamic action theory, parallel distributed processing theory, activity-oriented theory, and last, ecological theory. These theories aid in understanding how the brain controls movement. Each theory emphasizes various aspects of movement in the brain. However, we will only cover hierarchy theory and reflex theory for this lecture, considering our time. First is the hierarchical theory or hierarchy theory. Kahit alin sa dalawa ay tama. So, ang founder nito ay si John Hollings Jackson, also known as J.H. Jackson. The term hierarchical theory implies that there should be some sort of power or order. For example, sa isang school, we can consider the principal as the highest or top position, followed by the faculty members. Next is yung class representative or yung class president, and lastly is the class member. He believed that nervous system is structured in a hierarchy level, specifically sa top-down organizational control system, wherein yung highest level, meron siyang final say over everything that happens in our body. The highest level will be the one to initiate and send information sa ating middle level. Now, the middle level naman, siya ay magsisend ng information towards our lowest level. And the lowest level will be the one para i-carry out yung function. Next, we have the closed loop mode. When we say closed loop mode, sensory feedback is required for movement control. For example, first time nating magpapakulo ng tubig. Then, accidentally, nahawakan natin yung pot. Since na-feel natin yung hot coming from the pot, aalisin natin yung kamay natin doon. The part wherein ni-remove natin yung kamay natin dun sa pot is what we call the sensory feedback. Na-sense ng kamay natin na mainit yung pot kaya aalisin niya. The sensory feedback will instill in our mind. And the next time na magpapakulo tayo ng water or gagawin natin ng isang activity, ay magiging mas careful na tayo. Kasi may mag-a-advise sa atin na nangyari na itong gantong event and ganito yung kinalabasan. So, dapat maging mas careful na tayo. Next, we have the motor control hierarchy. This is the physiology of joint stability through the sensory motor system, wherein the sensory motor system is much more complex than a simple input-output system. The different levels in the brain have an equal role to the entire motor control system of the body, making each one of them important in the process. So, ano-ano ba ang mga levels na ito? We have 3. Yung green, yung highest level. Yung orange, yung middle level, and yung color blue is the local level. The local level ay tinatawag ding lowest level. First is the highest level. Its function is to form complex plans according to individual's intention and communicates with middle level via command neuron. This level is where planning and constructing of strategy happens. In short, ito ang utak or command ng lahat. An example of this is a boss or CEO ng isang company wherein siya yung pinagmumulan ng mga ipapagawa niya sa kanyang mga empleyado. O kaya naman commander ng isang ship na may kalayaang mamili kung saang lugar sila pupunta. The structure of this level are cortical, supplementary motor area, and association cortex. Yung cortical, yun yung brain cortex outermost layer. Yung supplementary motor area, siya naman yung functional diverse area. Why? Dahil ilan sa mga ginagawa nito ay planning and sequencing motor action, response inhibition, and bimanual movement. While yung association cortex naman is considered the epicenter of the higher cortical function, since it is involved in a top-down sensory and motor information processing. Next, we have the middle level. Ang function nito ay mag-convert ng plan received from the highest level to a number of smaller motor programs which determine the pattern of neural activation required to perform the movement. These programs are broken down into sub-programs that determine the movement of individual joint. The program and the sub-program are transmitted often via a cerebral cortex through a descending pathway. When we say descending pathway, it means from the top pababa. So highest level to the middle level hanggang makarating ng lowest level. So kung i-compare natin sa isang example, the middle level could be the head of each department sa isang company. Sa ship naman, sila yung lieutenants. Kasi sila yung nag-iisip ng way paano makakarating dun sa destination na gusto ni commander. So this level also make tactics on how to achieve the plan created by the highest level. And ang composition nito ay sensory motor cortex, which deals with the somatosensory and motor activities, cerebellum, which is the control center of the brain, basal ganglia, which is responsible for movement, yung initiation and execution ng movement, and lastly is the thalamus, which is the relay station of the brain. It is the relay station of the brain since yung thalamus malapit sa brainstem. Dito sa ating figure makikita natin. So yung thalamus, ito yung end part ng middle level. And yung brainstem, yun yung part ng lowest level. So sila yung nag-uugnay. Kaya relay station ang thalamus. Next, proceed naman tayo sa local or lowest level. Its function is to specify tension of particular muscle and angle of specific joint at specific times, necessary to carry out the programs and sub-programs transmitted from the middle control. Aside na nag-i-specify siya ng tension, involved din siya and responsible din siya when it comes to the execution of the said movement or information coming from the highest level to the middle level. In addition, yung primitive reflex or infant reflex natin, pagkabata tayo, ay controlled by this level. Pwede nating ma-compare ang local or lowest level into a workers ng isang company. Sila mismo yung gumagawa ng product, sila mismo yung nagpa-packaging ng product. Sa ship naman, sila yung rowers, wherein sila yung nag-utilize to propel the ship in its proper direction. So, ang structure ng local or lowest level is composed of two, brainstem and spinal cord. When we say brainstem, it controls the key cardiac and respiratory system. The spinal cord, it is known as the information highway of the body. Why? Dahil siya ang nagfa-facilitate ng information na mula sa ating brain patungo sa ating iba't ibang body parts and vice versa. So now, to proceed with the next kind of motor control theory, may I call on Miss Isabel Gregorio.